for everyone as well. And I'm going to guide you towards all the different things we talked about. And so I think I want to start here because so many of you are asking questions like, where can I find the slides? Will there be replays available? And for those who didn't show up exactly on time, you would have heard the announcements we made at the beginning. So let me just start with a quick refresher here. So if you go to this link, and we have our team actually answering your questions in the chat as well. So you would have seen this link be posted a few times live.geniusu.com/summit 2022 /live. You'll see that link in the chat as well. When you go here, it is your central hub for all the resources that we speak about throughout our 2-day summit. A couple of things you'll notice from here, there's a link to a template, and this template's actually where last week we had a challenge. People submitted their completed templates to actually participate in a competition on building their own investment plan. But what I want to stretch here is, competition or not, this ends up being a great place to get started building your own blueprint based on everything we're learning to make a plan and set up strategies so you can have your investment side figured out as regardless of what level you're at. That is going to be a beautiful guide to set your vision for your financial education. From there is a booklet with a lot more information about what's been happening throughout this summit, so you can get a copy of that beautiful PDF. And what I consider something very important, every time I join these learnings, I always like to have the slides with me so I can always take notes and go deeper into the topics. If I missed something and I want to review, you can get a copy of the slides here. It includes all the slides from yesterday's session, today's session, and you can access it here. And there's also this thing called Micro Degree. Now, if you're new to the GeniusU network, well, in the Micro Degree is the learning platform from GeniusU. You'll find the replay from yesterday. You'll see the slides, all the relevant links. All of that is being added to the Micro Degree. So this is how you get set up on the learning platform. And, I've seen some questions coming in, which I'll start here. Someone like Noel Huang was actually asking about how are we looking to improve financial literacy amongst teens? Well, this is one of the platforms that's being built by GeniusU to offer education for everyone. But you've also heard Roger that they are working with more and more systems, places where we can offer this kind of education to people of all ages. So this is one of the learning platforms that exist, super powerful. Now, one thing I wanted to cover as well, if you scroll on this page, again, all your resources are here. One of them is your Tiger Brokers app. So for those of you who wanted to claim the incredible offer, I'm hearing some music, and that was not from my side. So any of you who want to claim the offer with Tiger, I'm actually in the break, I was getting started myself with Tiger Brokers. I want some shares in GeniusU. I know, Kieran, you were asking, how do we buy GeniusU Group's shares? I'm in the UK. Well, actually, for those who take the Tiger offer, you're going to get a couple already. So I know it goes through a process to open up your account, so you can do that there. You can find a link right here to get started, but they are publicly listed, and so you're able to actually see them be listed as well. One thing I wanted to do is bring everyone back here and get a chance to bring Roger up, because I see you're here, and I was having some fun. I think I need to look at potentially getting a job at one of those auction houses, when I get to scream out all the different numbers, and then at least I'd find my place, right? Unfortunately, I can't hear you right now, so I'll let you guys in the back probably have to turn on the sound. And
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Coming? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. This is great.
Okay. Yeah. We had a Q&A session already. Everyone's eating their dinner. It's all good over here, and so I thought, all right, I'll come back and join you because I think we have a couple more minutes. So if there was any Q&A or anything, we can use the most of that time before I kick off.
I love it. Well, actually, there was a couple of questions I thought were actually very specific to you, and I think one of them is really great. And it's talking about like the plan for GeniusU. You were talking about some exciting stuff that's happening, and one of the questions here that was actually from the Singapore event, I don't know if you've answered it there already, but us online would love to know the answer, is what's the plan for GeniusU as an online platform for education to outshine, compete with the likes of things like Udemy, Coursera, and the unique value proposition? I'd be really curious to know, how does GeniusU stand out as a business?
Right. Well, I mean, the first thing is a lot of those other platforms, Coursera, Udemy, there's digitizing education, but that's different from creating a whole new curriculum, like to create an entrepreneurial, investor, financial literacy, fulfillment in life curriculum, where the whole design of the curriculum is lifelong, from 0 to 100 years old, right? Just like Hotel California, right? You can never leave. So the whole idea is that you're going to continue through your life to be learning, and you want your kids to be learning as well, right? And you want to be actually learning relevant things from relevant people, and so everyone can be a part of it. And what I think is super exciting is two things. One is we're using high tech, and then the second one is we're using high touch. The way we do high tech is we say, hey, everyone should have a personalized journey. So, when I showed you the Ikigai graph, we have assessment for your passion, a passion test. We have the purpose test. We have the genius test. And so once you find out what you are, then you get your little AI genie, and genie basically makes your wishes come true to say, okay, so because, Jason, you might have, for example, a star profile, which means you're way better at being able to get connected to people and to be able to shine a light on others. I'll have a creative profile where I'm better at creating new ideas, and we know how to build our teams. I've got a passion for travel, so I'm like, okay, how do you get involved in something with travel? Other people doing that as well. How do you learn about something which is going to be your biggest purpose, which for me is education? So what happens is you start connecting to all the right people, and then on top of that, which is the high tech, is like a personalized journey for each person all the way through your life, and linking it to the blockchain, right? So the metaverse is about, okay, you can actually see your journey all the way through the blockchain. You've got NFTs for your certifications. You're getting rewarded with student credits, not student debt. There's $1.7 trillion of student debt right now, which is crazy. Student credit is basically earning gems as you go, which is our Genius education merits, which you get rewarded for taking clear steps. Clear steps is connect. Every time you connect to somebody, you're getting gems. Learn, right? Every time you learn something new, you're getting gems. Earn, every time you turn any of this into earnings, you're getting gems, right? Act, every time you're taking action, which is helping other people, you get gems. And then review, every time you're going back and checking in on what you learn and make sure you're learning it, you get gems, right? So you get rewarded, it's gamified, the whole thing. So that's the high tech side. The high touch side is the fact that I could be here in Singapore, and we have a Singapore city leader. Simon, who you're going to meet later on today, he's got 50 city leaders in different parts of England. We have Tamami, who runs not just a city in Japan, in Tokyo, but actually the whole country. You're going to actually be hearing about some of these people later today who actually have taken entire countries, and then there's different people in different cities in South America, in South Africa. Why is that important? Because when we do something like, for example, by university, and that university is now having an MBA in Web3, right, in blockchain, then suddenly Tamami in Tokyo can have the same Web3 degree that she can now deliver there within her micro university. We can deliver it right here in Singapore. We can deliver in Chile, we can deliver in Johannesburg, in Sydney, and in each of those places, everyone's getting rewarded for creating their own micro school, but they can then connect to the very best learning. Like if we said, okay, Jaspreet, let's put together a certification on how someone can really understand the trading process that you go through right now. Let's actually straight away let all the people in different parts of the world not have to go online to do it, but actually take some of the videos, take some of the training, and actually be able to do it in their city with a group of people, with a sort of that's high touch, right? So this is absolutely not about trying to just go online. Some of those companies you talked about, like Coursera, Udemy, they have no high touch side. They don't have a global network. We have over 10,000 in our network right now that are actually out there spreading the word in local cities. So if anyone who's listening wants to be one of our partners, whether it's a partner, which we call a community partner, like a city manager or a country manager, or you want to be a faculty partner where you've actually got good content that you want to get out there, or you actually want to be a facilitator partner, which means you're actually going to be the person facilitating, being the teacher. Teachers, I believe, are going to go the same way as travel agents. Does anyone remember 20, 30 years ago when you wanted to go anywhere, you had to go through a travel agent or like a stockbroker? You had to go through a stockbroker. Those were industries that were centralized and everything was transaction-based. People got paid for doing the transaction. All the middlemen disappeared, and that doesn't mean that people who are interested in travel aren't still in the travel industry. They're just no longer the travel agent. They're now the tour operator or the experience manager, which means they've gone from transactional to transformational. So it's not like teachers are going to disappear. They're just not going to be reading off a textbook anymore. They're going to be there actually guiding people through in a personalized way on valuable information, which is being provided by world-class teachers that are out there as well, right? So this is where it gets super exciting because the biggest bottlenecks in education is number one, the school. You've got to actually go physically to that, but you don't even have a chance of getting in. So that now is decentralized with our community managers. Number two, the teacher. Teacher can only go to so many people in the classroom, and then they're stuck. So you can have a brilliant teacher, and they can only get to 30 people, while you've got people on YouTube getting to millions. So we actually decentralized that as well by giving people a chance to get their content out to everybody. And the third thing is that everyone who's a student who wants that personalized learning, they're not going to get it if they're just watching a YouTube video or they're just basically learning from someone on Coursera. But they will get it if they can get someone who's now giving them a transformation, not a transaction, but a transformation on saying, hey, here's where you're at. What did you learn from that? Hey, here's who you need to connect with. They're going to tell you more. Are you interested in that? Here's someone in Singapore that can actually work with you to do that. Then everyone ends up being able to create a job and create value wherever they go. So hopefully that helps everyone to get what we're really doing here, which is, I think, nothing less than a full education revolution.
I love it. And, I've seen some of the physical projects that you have out in Bali, which is already a great space to be in. There's a ton of people that are coming in here and live in this kind of digital space and seeing cool opportunities. So the world is changing, and it's fun to see somebody like Genius U going out there and making that change happen even faster. So with that, I think we're ready for our next section. And so I just want to give a heads up to everyone. We got another 2 hours to go, so sit tight. This is going to be exciting. We have a bit more with Roger, and as you heard with Jaspreet as well, talking about UK property and all that. We're going to have Simon Suchi coming on later as well, talking about property. So with that, Roger, we are ready for our next section.
Fantastic. All right. Are you guys all ready in the room as well? All right. Yeah. Are you ready? You're ready. Okay. They're ready. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. So welcome everyone for the final session of this 2-day summit. So this is where it gets super exciting as we start getting into the final one of these trends as well. Let me start by sharing my screen and share with you trend number 9. Here is trend number 9. You know that this is all about what we call Investor 5.0. This is going beyond Investor 5.0 to something called Humanity 5.0. And what I'm going to do, first of all, is just share a little bit about what is allowing us to actually shift and change what we're doing now compared to where we were before. And then off the back of it, I'm actually going to show you a template that you can use to build your own portfolio based on this idea of Humanity 5.0. And it's actually really interesting because we were having a conversation right here in the room about this. Where is the world going, given that the old structures are now changing? I personally believe we are not only at a moment in time where structures have to change, but is coinciding with us having the tools to rebuild in a totally new way. This new beginnings will be new tools, just like in the Roaring Twenties, the new tools were things like media, music, entertainment, and everything changed. The car, flights, all that changed, and we are living in a totally different world today. So what is Humanity 5.0? I want to, for everyone who's newcomers into our group, I want to share why we are even doing what we're doing right now. It really comes down to a moment that I had when I was studying architecture in Cambridge University, thinking I was going to go down a normal profession, very much like Jaspreet was had his parents saying, hey, be a doctor, and it's be a lawyer. My parents were hey, go do a profession. I was creative, so it's well, be an architect. But then one of the architects that we were learning from, someone called Buckminster Fuller, he's the guy who created the geodesic dome. I found out he wasn't just an architect, but he was actually a futurist. I didn't know what a futurist was in that day. And he talked about something called the final exam. And just to give everyone a sense of why this is so important right now, he said right back in the 1970s that all the world's problems could be solved with technology, right? He basically said that technology solves distribution issues, and all the world's biggest issues are distribution issues. He says, when it comes to something like poverty, it's not that there isn't enough money. There's plenty of money. It's just not distributed effectively, so some people end up having none of it, right? Or hunger. Isn't that there isn't enough food? In Europe, they've got food mountains. It's the fact that it's not distributed effectively, and so some people go hungry, right? And you can say that for pretty much every education's the same. It's not that we don't have enough teachers, enough knowledge. It's just not distributed effectively, and so some people go ignorant, right? And so how do we solve this, right? He says it's not technology that will solve it. He said even back in the 1970s, there was already enough technology to solve all these issues, but they weren't being solved. And technology keeps on accelerating. So he says, actually, what's stopping them all from being solved is not the technology, it's our own human consciousness. He says, we're still trying to fight each other, we still think there's not enough. We're not thinking globally, we're not thinking about how we solve global issues. And he says, so because of that, we're always going to end up in bigger trouble until we end up at final judgment day, right? And he basically said the final exam is our final exam as to whether or not we pass or fail at that final judgment day. And he says, basically it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Can we find ways to accelerate our consciousness enough to catch up with technology, even though technology keeps accelerating? Because passing exam is that we can do that and we'll end up harnessing technology and we'll know we've done it because we've solved all the world's problems, right? Or at least the biggest problem. But when we fail to do that, it's not like we have another exam, right? Because what happens if we fail is technology will continue to accelerate beyond our ability to be able to harness it until it eventually turns around and destroys us. You've got people like Elon Musk, saying he's very worried about AI, right? Artificial intelligence, right? When you actually have super intelligent robots or machines, will they end up destroying us, right? That has so much to do with our own consciousness in the moment right now. And he's now saying the singularity, which is the point at which, like, smarter than human machines end up making machines even smarter than they are, that's going to be happening by the year 2025, right? We're only a couple of years away. So everything is like focusing at mid this decade right now. So what is Humanity 5.0? It's not about us being better computers. It's about us being better humans. When you go to school, the three biggest things you learn at school is, number one, memorization, right? That's the only way you can pass exams. You remember stuff. You're not allowed to look at stuff, right? Outside of that, computers beat us at that a long time ago, right? Second thing, calculation, right? Can you do maths? Well, why do you need to do those if you actually got computers to do it for you? Computers out-calculate us in an instant, and they've done that for many, many years, right? So why are we trying to be better computers in those two areas? The third area, which is literacy, with AI, computers are even better than us at correcting our mistakes when it comes to spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, or even putting together entire stories. So we are living in a world where having a system that's teaching us to be better computers is kind of stupid, right? So what does it mean to be better humans? In the Renaissance basically had a totally different education system, which is called the trivium. The trivium wasn't based on things like calculation, memorization. It was based on self-awareness, that's number one. Self-awareness, like you know who you are. Number two, self-mastery. Are you becoming the best version of yourself, not someone else, but of yourself that you can be, which you can't even start if you don't know who you are. And number three, self-expression, which is, do you have a way to now express this, either through your investment portfolio, through your business, through your job? And if you actually go back to what I said earlier, that all the most successful people in the world have found out a way to get paid for their self-expression. And they found a unique way where they're self-aware enough to do that. And believe me, if you are an investor or an entrepreneur and you're not self-aware, the market will punish you, right? And then you realize, oh, actually, I've got to be more humble. I've got to actually realize more about what my strengths and my weaknesses are, right? And we actually are forced to go through a second education when we get out there in the world. So Humanity 5.0 is about, why don't we just start that way? And are there things we can do to bypass centralized power? Do we need the government to tell us what to do? Do we need fiat currency to tell us basically how much we're worth, right? Or is there a whole different way we can do things? So I'm going to just share with you a couple of slides of what is going to be coming to a head in the coming years, which we can all be making the most of as we move forward as well, right? The first one is that if you actually look at this idea of Society 5.0 being about a different type of technology to what we've had so far, right? And again, for those of you who are newer to this, the reason it's called 5.0, this is a Japanese term that they were already saying was coming before the pandemic hit us. They said that when there's a shift in technology, it changes our social structure as well. So for example, Society 1.0 was when we had, our technology was basically hunting tools, right? But when you use the hunting tools together, so that was where we started showing up in nomadic tribes, which was obviously thousands of years ago. And then it went from hunting tools to farming tools, which was the agrarian society, where everyone goes, you know what, we don't have to be in nomadic tribe. We can stay in one village, right? In fact, that's a better way for us to actually build a social structure. And that continued for 1,000 years until new tools allowed us to have industry, right? This is basically the Industrial Revolution, where we could say, hey, you know what? We don't have to be in villages. We can get together in bigger numbers, have factories, and we can be living in cities. And again, we saw our social structure change. What's happened and come to a head with the pandemic is 4.0, which is the information age, where we say, hey, we've actually got ways to connect with each other where we don't even need to be in cities. So this is where we've got back to almost being like nomadic, right? But when we're being nomadic now is where we can actually travel around the world, be more global, until we get to a point where everyone's remote, which is kind of what happened during the pandemic. And then everyone goes, you know what, there's a better way than this, right? There's got to be high touch as well as high tech. And that's where 5.0 comes in. So what's different in 5.0? Everything becomes decentralized and everything comes back down to the individual and to the community, where we have all the building blocks to build a whole new way of working together, where, like we were saying at the break, instead of electricity being the driver of everything, is information being the driver of everything. So what does that look and feel like? Well, here is a couple of slides about what Web3 actually means. So I know we've all been hearing about Web3, but just to be really clear on Web3, I met up with these guys in Los Angeles quite recently. They were at Peter Diamandis' London 360. For those of you who don't know Peter Diamandis, he's the one I was showing the photos. He's my mentor. He basically set up XPRIZE. He is involved in so many groundbreaking technology companies. He's the guy that Elon Musk is giving $100 million to for the Carbon XPRIZE that Elon Musk has sponsored. And it's really Peter that was responsible for the beginning of the space race when he gave the Ansari XPRIZE $10 million to Burt Rutan for the very, very first flight into space. And that was the beginning of Virgin Galactic. Here you got Sam Engelbart and Eric Pulia, who together basically have a number of Web3 companies. And the way they explain Web3 was Web 1, which was before social media, was read only. So if you were around in 1995 to 2005, during those 10 years, there was no social media. It was pretty much, you just kind of came to a website and read it, maybe clicked on some stuff, but you certainly couldn't change what was on that site. Whereas Web 2.0 started with blogs, then it became Facebook, then it became YouTube, where we could read and write. We could actually start creating our own pages and actually share those pages with others, and everything became personalized. But there's a huge difference between read and write, where everything's owned by corporations or by other people, and what's now happening with Web 3.0, where you can read, write, and own, which means you actually have ownership of the things that are either in the actual internet or connected to the internet as well, right? So as an example, one of our students, his name is, he's got a company which is called Work Migrate. His name is Scott Picken, and he created a company called Work Migrate that basically invests in property, but the property is linked to the blockchain. And you could have 1,000 people putting in $10,000 or even $1,000 each, and that would raise millions. And everyone could then have their ownership of that property, but they could also sell their ownership onto someone else because it was linked to the blockchain, right? So this is not just about like talking about virtual reality or augmented reality. It's talking about the blockchain, everything then having its own address. And when we talk about what they say is the metaverse, this is not the same as the metaverse, right? It's not what Facebook is saying is the metaverse. The metaverse is actually a digital layer across our entire life, where we have our own wallets, which has our own ability to transact, our own social spaces where we can connect with each other, our own digital objects that we can actually share with each other as well, right? So as an example, like what could that actually look like? Let's imagine that we had Jason on the call, as he is on the call right now. We have myself. We have Jaspreet, for example, right, who was on earlier. And the three of us are on. We're having a conversation, and I say, hey, Jaspreet, what you said earlier about that one piece where you were explaining the granddaddy of all pricing. I thought that was a really good piece, right? And he goes, I thought that was a good piece there as well. I said, well, you said that. I mean, I recorded it, but you said it. Like, that's really like a 3-minute piece that I think we should share with other people, right? He goes, I totally agree. Like, let's just go out and share that with other people. And we go, and you know what? Like, people should actually from there have an opportunity to then come and join, your program. And maybe someone wants to advertise on this, right? He goes, I'm sure probably someone would. Right? Let's imagine Jason said, yeah, actually, not only that, but if they actually were to advertise, they'd probably want to advertise even just on that one piece. So even if people didn't come and join your briefs, even if they watched it, there'd be ads behind it as well. Like, yeah, that would totally work. And then Jason might say, okay, well, let's just go out and do that. We have no company to do it, nothing, but we straight away just click. And suddenly that 3-minute piece becomes on the blockchain, which means there's an ownership to it. Just click straight away. Basically, just we can go out to all of his community and say, hey guys, have a look at this piece, and also say to all of the different companies, hey, if you want to sponsor this piece, you could do that. Jason goes, hey, I'm happy to manage this for you. So if some company doesn't want it, some other company will have it instead. We said that's fine too. And any money that comes in for that, let's just put it in this wallet over here. And let's just split it 3 ways, right? 33% each. So if any money shows up, great. If no money does, great. And boom, straight away, we just created something which is an asset that can continue on. It can be shared all over the world. It can generate revenue as it goes. We all get a shareholding of that, and off we go to the next thing, right? So in the future, we're not going to have a corporation, which have an accountant, which counts the money, and a lawyer. No, the whole thing is just us all interacting and doing business with each other without the need for all of those centralized systems. And we can do that anywhere in the world. Now, that's not possible today at that level, but that is what Web3 is all about. Our ability to be able to just connect with each other, find simple ways for us to be able to add value to each other, feel that we all basically got something of value from that as well. And we're now got abundance thinking where we're not trying to grab things from each other, but at every moment you're creating new assets that people actually might find value in. And all the best stuff will then grow to the top, right? So if you start getting the ideas like, oh my God, that's going to change everything, that means that I don't have to go to the bank for a mortgage, right? I could just say, hey, I've got half the money for my house. The other half, I'll just go to the public or to my community and say, guys, do you want to just come in and take a percentage of the house and you get a percentage of the rental, right? And straight away people go, yeah, sure, I'll put in $1,000. And straight away they'll get their blockchain brick from that house. And then it would then continue on for others. And all of us will have ability to monetize and to capitalize. And we are moving from a world where the last 100 years, I believe, is about something which I call the capitalization of democracy, right? So democracy is where we all get a vote. The capitalization of democracy is when there's people who understand how to turn that into capital, which is basically the finance industry, the entrepreneurs, they turn that stuff into value. But if you didn't know how to turn it into value, right, you're still going to be stuck without any value whatsoever, right? But we're going from this world, which was the capitalization of democracy, to a whole new world, which is the democratization of capital, right? It's the other way around. Like, we're taking all the capital in the world and we're democratizing it, so it's not all owned by the banks, it's not all owned by big corporations, it's owned by all of us, right? We get to choose. Elon Musk is already doing this, right? More people own shares in Tesla than own cars made by Tesla, right? By a long shot, right? And we also decided we wanted to be a public company because we decided that the students should all have an ownership in their education, right? The teachers should all have an ownership. You can't do that if it's non-profit and it's government funded. You can't do that if it's a corporation, but you can do it if it's actually now public and everyone can have a part of it. So this is where the whole world is now going. People, places, things. And if you start seeing that, then you're like, wow, I should be getting more involved in these centralized spaces because this is a whole new humanity where we're not fighting against the centralized powers that are fighting today, because this is the fourth turning where all those are going to disappear anyway, right? So thinking in that way, this here basically is straight from a place called Crypto Valley. Crypto Valley is in Switzerland. It basically is a place called Zug, Z-U-G. It's where Ethereum has its base. It's where Cardano has its base. It's where Solana has its base. It's where the Web3 Foundation has their base. And here is the market capitalization 6 months by 6 months through 2020 into 2021. Like, this is phenomenal at the speed at which it's growing right now as well. So she said, oh, we're actually moving into a whole new world of Humanity 5.0. And the real key thing is, what are you going to be doing in investing in the right spaces? And what are you doing to make sure that you are one of those cells in the body that are creating this entirely new system as well? I love this thing that Deepak Chopra talks about when he talks about the biological transformational process by which a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, right? And he talks about it in biological terms because what actually happens is that when the caterpillar ends up going into a cocoon and it starts basically going through what's called metamorphosis, there's particular cells in the caterpillar which the scientists have called imaginal cells, right? It's imaginal, imaginal cells. And these are cells that you don't find in a human, right? They're in caterpillars, and they're cells that go around and basically just each different cell all the way through, like, okay, you were a leg of the caterpillar, you're now an antenna of the butterfly. You were an eye of the caterpillar, you are now a cell in the wing of the caterpillar, and you're going to be color purple, right? Like, it basically goes and recodes every single different cell that was the caterpillar, and then become, when it then hatches, a butterfly, right? It's such a cool idea, right? That you've actually got these imaginal cells. So what he talked about is the fact that some of you listening right now, some in the room here, some of us are imaginal cells in this global butterfly that is getting created, right? And right now, the caterpillar is still eating itself, right? It's just got into this massive frenzy. And for some of us, we're like, oh, I know my job. I think I'm an imaginal self. Like, my job is to go around and igniting all these geniuses, right? That's my job, right? Some of you think the same way too, right? But some of you, you're like, I don't know what my job is. That's okay, right? The whole caterpillar gets to be the butterfly, right? Just wait until someone somewhere comes along and connects you to the right pieces. But if we all realize, oh, we shouldn't be worried and sad about the fact the caterpillar is going to disappear, because because we're going to be a butterfly. And you know what? When the butterfly is hatched, the butterfly starts flying, it has no memory of the caterpillar. Like within 5 years, we're going to be like, what government? Like, what currency? Like, we are going to be thinking that. In the same way that some of you are like, British Empire? What empire? Right? It's like, what? That was only 50 years ago, there was the British Empire, right? And today, it's like, what happened? So things are moving so rapidly right now. And this is about us all knowing that we're all part of this right now as we go forward as well. So what can you do about this, right? Let me just share with you before I bring on a couple of people, which I'm going to do in about 5-6 minutes time. Let me share with you a process which you can follow. You can actually take this straight off the back of this. We're going to drop the link into this as well. A process that we have had a whole group go through in the last week called our challenge, where what they did was they submitted a full slide deck of their investment plan. And I'm going to walk you through the different slides here because I know for some of you, when you see this, you're going to be like, oh, I want to go do this challenge. And you can, even though you can't do it live with us because we did it already, you can go to the videos. The team will drop in the Facebook group where you can just go and watch the videos. But what we did, over 5 days, we basically took people, and there's instructions on how you can actually download this for yourself, how you can follow it on GeniusU as well. Totally free, right? Like this is just another resource. But where the 5 elements of you building your own investment plan, which is the 5.0 plan, that this is something you can put together in 5 days, as the people I'm about to bring on did. And where it doesn't start with you saying, okay, what asset do I want to invest in? It starts by you saying, who are you going to be in the future? And not 1 year in the future, but 5 years in the future, when everything already changes. So how do you put together your future vision? What's your personal compass? Well, if you know where you're going, where are you today, right? So if this is your destination, where is your current location, right? If you get these 2 right, I'm going to show you what my one looks like, then what's the wave you're going to surf? Like there was a time when we're taught at school that if you're in a troubling situation, you've got to either sink or swim. But there's a third option, which is to surf, right? And so what are the waves that you can surf? Because there's no one that's got the success without surfing a wave, right? And what are these exponential waves? And then from there, what's your investment criteria you're choosing based on what I was showing earlier and from what you're hearing from everyone that's been on the summit? And then what's your plan? So here, first of all, your future vision is where you'll see there's instructions of you putting your future vision together. And this is like 5 years in the future, right? What is going to be your personal cash flow? What's going to be your wealth? What's going to be your reputation? And it goes into all the different things. Like these are all prompts that you can do. So here's mine, for example, right? My future vision. And it says here, like, I'm so grateful for the last 5 years. So I'm actually writing this from the future. This is such a liberating exercise when you do this. So grateful for the last 5 years because I've been able to play my part in making history. As I celebrate my new year, diving with my family in the Maldives, I feel so grateful to have been able to play such a big part in the education revolution that began in 2021, right? So this is me writing this in 2026. After Genius Group had its IPO, it grew from 300 million to 3 billion in value, with this growth co-funded by students. We've impacted the lives of over 20 million students and built over $300 billion in new value through the initiatives and enterprises. I'm also invested in a DeFi movement, that's decentralized finance, showing entrepreneurship and investing is a very real alternative to a 9-to-5 job. I've grown the size of our family offices, the investment portfolio, so I have a Hamilton family office in Singapore, with the help of my children to $1 billion in value, with a 20% annual cash return, and we're putting 90% of that into the Hamilton Foundation to fund education scholarships. My dream of designing and building my own home on the beach has happened ahead of schedule, and I'm looking forward to write my journal and plan the next 5 years as I watch the sunrise over the ocean. Like when I read that, 2 things happen. The first one is I get excited about the next 5 years, right? The next thing is it's already done. It's like I know it's done, so I have no anxiety. It's not going to happen. Now it's just a matter of how, right? And so by thinking in this way, it takes all the worry about what happens tomorrow. Like what's Bitcoin's price going to be next month? It's like, who cares? If I have a plan that gets me here, just like if I'm on a boat in the ocean, right? Or if I'm a plane, yeah, I'm going to get wind coming in the wrong direction. I'm going to have waves that are going to be hitting me in ways I don't want, right? There's going to be storms. But as long as I know my destination, I'm always going to find a way to navigate through them and still get to where I'm going to get to. So that's number one, right? Like, do you have a vision for the future? If not, you're always going to be blown off course, right? And in most cases, when I speak to people, they don't have that vision. Like those of you who are doing the Founders Roundtable with me, or if you're working with Mark or Marcus, they all use a similar process to make sure that you've got a particular idea of where you want to go, right? Because if you don't have that clear idea, you're always going to go off course. Number 2, if you have that, the biggest problem for most of us is that we're actually doing it in the wrong way. So who are you, right? What is your personal compass, right? You can have a map, but you're not going to get to where you get to unless you have a compass. So what are your role models, like, that you're following? How do you actually even say who you are or describe yourself in one paragraph? And also, what is your top purpose? What is your top genius, your passions, your values, the things we talked about with your Ikigai? So here's mine, for example, where you can see who my top role models are. Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, Buckminster Fuller has now become Rudolf Steiner, Mario Montessori, Pythagoras. Biggest difference of these two is these people are all thought leaders, but they didn't have their own curriculum. These people all had their own curriculum that lasted for centuries, if not millennia, right? So that's where I'd like to be in 1,000 years from now. I'm a futurist and social entrepreneur, and then I've got myself a bio, which I then now use in all of my social media, right? If we actually go one step further, what is my purpose and what are my passions? These all come from doing the tests, and you'll see that we actually give you the links to go do all these tests as well in this exercise, right? So you can find out quite easily. Exponential waves, right? There's these different exponential ways that I explain, and this then leads to whatever your one happens to be. In my case, I'm focusing at the education revolution and the entrepreneur movement, right? These are the two big ones. And the tech waves that ride these are EdTech, Metaverse, and AI. So I'm keeping myself up to date on those areas by investing in those areas. So I don't learn in order to invest, I invest in order to learn. Like, I'm invested in NVIDIA. I'm still invested in Facebook, actually, because it forces me to then go and follow their shareholders' decisions. I haven't invested a lot, but enough that I actually can then show up. So I can then see what I shouldn't be doing, right? Because I think they're the opposite of what you should be doing today, because they're so centralized and they're so focusing and not rewarding the people within their community, right? Which is obviously very different from the likes of YouTube, which rewards the YouTubers. If you actually take that one step further and you say, okay, well, like, taking the different criteria, what is the criteria that I'm going to choose? You're going to see that I have my foundation. I decided, when Mark was going through the different types of investment you can do, foundation assets like Bitcoin or like gold, I've got basically 10% in that. My wholesale assets, which are where I'm buying assets at a discounted rate because of the people I know, I've got about 20% of that, but it's a much bigger amount in Genius Group, where we're acquiring companies, which are wholesale assets, because we're buying them at a different price than you'd be able to get in the market, or they may not even be on sale. I've got the biggest percentage in the two areas, impact assets, which are basically these areas here, because they're just big growth areas. But also up here, in terms of cryptocurrencies on a number of different types, including my own, pre-IPOs and private placements, and then some in wholesale cash flow, right? I don't do any active trading at all myself, but there are other ways. If you want to do more momentum, you might change it so you got more in active trading. If you want to hedge against, you want much more safety. If you're in retirement age, I wouldn't go for other than these two. There's probably more like this, where you've got at least 30% in foundation assets, so you're just secure no matter what. You decide what's right for you, but you're going to see that even the three finalists that we bring on board, they've all got their own decisions on how they're going to do it. And then you then have got, off the back of that, what does that look like over 5 years? Like, here you're seeing that there's actually, an actual amount you can put in on a month-by-month basis. We actually give you in this a link. This is a calculator, so you can actually plug numbers in to start with. Now, these numbers, in my case, are in millions, right? So in 2020, I had, outside of my businesses, I had about $6 million that was in my portfolio. This grows over time, right? But this, at this rate, will grow to about 24 million by the time we get to 2026, right? In terms of where the money is being allocated, and you can see how much is in any particular area. And then off the back of that, right, the investment funds, it actually sees how that then grows to the $1 billion mark by the time we get to 2026, right? So I've actually got those numbers broken in, and that shows up in a graph, which comes automatically off the actual graph as well. These 5 things that you see here: future vision, personal compass, exponential waves, investment criteria, portfolio plan. This can keep you on track in the same way that a pilot can have a flight path that keeps them on track even when they're in cloud cover, right? They still can get a sense of where they're on track, off track. If you don't have that plan, then you're always going to be comparing yourself to what was happening yesterday or what might happen tomorrow, and you're going to be in constant stress, right? So this is so critical to keep your head at times when basically everything around is changing. And this is the message you're hearing from all of the different mentors and speakers that you've been hearing here as well, right? So was that useful or not? Just hearing how that works, please post a yes if it was useful. Post a no if it wasn't as well. And what would be the biggest takeaway from what I just shared just then that you'd like to act and put into action yourself as well, right? Super important. This this is where we get down to nitty-gritty, practical action moving forward. And with that, I'd like to come back to Jason and just check, Jason, do we have our three finalists that we're going to be bringing on board on standby at the moment?
Yes, we do. They are on standby, and I know that we're going to be showcasing some of the winners and finalists for the challenge. So yeah, everybody is on standby.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do then, just like by introduction to those who I'm going to invite, so everyone can see. This is not. It's very easy sometimes when you have a summit like this, where obviously the people who are speaking have reached a certain level of success themselves. It's very easy for everyone watching to use your inner skeptic to say, oh, it's fine for them because they've been doing it for this many years, or it's fine for them because they got lucky, or fine for them because they've got a talent that I don't have. Well, anyone can actually get started, and the three people we're going to bring on board, you're going to see, like a week ago, didn't have the plan at all. Now they've got plans, right? So before I actually invite all three to come on board, and they only actually found out yesterday, after the summer started, that they were the three that are in either first or second position. What actually we did was we actually took a total of 6 people. You can see here the first place. No one knows who's first place right now, but we're about to find out. The first place is getting $3,000 in cash or crypto. We've got also what we have in terms of a mentoring program, Crystal Circle Mentoring, which is my top program, which is an $18,000 program, that they're actually getting that as well, and something called our Wealth Dynamics Virtual, which basically is where they learn about the key steps to really build their business and their portfolio. The first place gets just all that for free, right? That's like half of the $50,000. The 2 second places, you get $2,000 in cash, plus the Wealth Dynamics Virtual, plus also part of the Crypto Club, which is Marcus's club, where you actually just get free entry into that. That's where people already are paying close to $4,000 to be part of that. And then the third place, there's actually 3 of them, and they basically are getting the Wealth Dynamics Virtual. So there's basically $50,000 in total. The 6 people that actually ended up getting shortlisted for those 6, we have got them from all over the world. We have Claire Reid from the UK. We have Deborah Hoffmeyer from South Africa. We have George Wu from the US. And you see that in here, we actually give you links to all their plans as well. This is what I think is so magical about our community, is that everybody in our community, they're willing to share what they're learning, right? This is the opposite of going to school, where you're not allowed to share your answers with anyone, because that's called cheating. Everyone shares their answers with everyone, so you get to see who actually ended up with the best plans, and then you can learn from them as well. We also have Katie Lee from US, we have Patricia Warner from the UK, and we have Prudence Lauren from Hong Kong, right? So from all over the world, those were the 6. Now we're going to see who were the 3 that ended up in either first place or runner-up. And can everyone do a bit of a drum roll on the table, wherever you are? And the 3 we have is Katie Lee from the US, Claire Reid from the UK, and Patricia Warner from the UK. They're all women. Can we please give them all a big round of applause? All right, so let me stop sharing, because hopefully we've got them all live here at the moment. Can we pin them all so we can see them all here as well? I'm guessing for Katie in the US, it must be pretty early in the morning or late at night. Guys, can you help to pin them? Because I'm not seeing any of them on my screen at the moment. Jason?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask the finalists to turn on your cameras so we can see you, and that way it'll be easy for us to pin you into the conversation and have you be unmuted and get to participate with us. Good to see you, Claire. We got Patricia here as well, and Katie just unmuted herself. And so there you go. All of our finalists are here.
Awesome. Well, okay. Well, first of all, hi to all of you. You can all unmute right now, and you can stay unmuted. They're all muted at the moment, guys. Can you help unmute them for our operator? Jason, can you help as well?
It's done. They are all unmuted right now.
Oh, you guys are all unmuted. Claire, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, awesome. Yes, it's working. And Katie, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Welcome. And also, Patricia, how are you?
I'm fine. Hello.
Fabulous. Well, look, first of all, congratulations to all 3 of you. Really, really good to have you on here. You've got right now 500 people all watching you live, so hopefully that doesn't make you too nervous. And what I'm going to do is just come to each of you one by one, and I want to share with everybody basically what you put together, right? Like, so what it is that your plan looks like. And I'd love to also give you a chance to just share the experience of going through this and the message that you would have for each of the people listening as well. through this. So I'm actually going to start with Patricia here, and let me just first of all just have a quick whiz through Patricia's slides. So you can see she's taken these different slides here. She's put her own vision in here. She's got a photo of herself and her son, and she's an accumulator profile, so very much like a Warren Buffett, so more focusing at risk and accumulation. And then basically you can see here her whole story of what's going to happen, where she's going to live, what's going to happen with her life over the next 5 years, which is fabulous. Like, it's quite very detailed. Her personal compass in terms of her top people she has as her mentors or role models, and then also how she sees stuff. Now, what's really cool is Patricia, from the looks of it, is working with us, right? Flow Consultant is one of our certification programs, also customer success mentor, spiritual life coach, and you can see how she's now integrated all of that into a plan where for her it's a big focus on identity and access management because that's part of her profession, so passion and purpose, and then you can see how she then linked that into her plan going forward as well, right? So I'd love to start by you just sharing your experience of actually just going through the actual process itself, and what was your biggest aha moment through that, Patricia?
Thank you, Roger. I just want to say that destination first, process next. And this was birthed on Monday evening, very late Monday evening, because I was giving back to Marcus de Maria's virtual crypto workshop all weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I did this after. And I am an employee, but I got to a place in 2021 where I need more out of life. And I can't just be working many hours and my son doesn't know what I look like anymore and all of this. So it's just a way for me to put so much clarity on where I see myself, what I can do. And along with Michelle Clark, of course, and the Flow Consultancy, I got my certificate of accreditation on the 6th of October. So,
wow.
So it's very recent.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And on the 5 days, and just so everyone knows this as well, I'm really hoping that many of you will get such inspiration from this summit that you'll go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back and look at those 5 days sessions. Those 5 days, I was on the first and last day. We had Mark on one day, we had Marcus on one day, we had Simon on one day, going through each of these different areas as well. What for you was like the biggest, the biggest takeaway during those different days from the different mentors?
It's always about the pyramid. Mark Robinson, IAW. It's just that, as I was saying yesterday, it doesn't matter what's going on in the market now, but just have an even stack and just plan it out in such a way that no matter what goes on in the market, you're safe, you're secure. There's actually always something going on in the portfolio, and you can work it out in the percentage way and allocate that however you see fit or whatever works for you. So I just love that part of it. It just gives you so much more independence. As you said, it was so liberating doing this.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, really nicely said. Okay, fabulous, right? So I know in the link, I think a couple of the guys have actually posted already the link to the micro degree challenge. So anyone who's watching this, you can go click on that. Maybe we'll put the Facebook group in there as well, so you can actually click and go straight there. I think the link's there too. So either way, you're in with the community and you can continue to do good stuff with us. And again, they're all there to watch the recordings afterwards. So I'm sure you'll see Patricia commenting in there too. I'm going to come to the second sharing here. So this is Claire's one. This is awesome. This is such a, don't think that your investment is something outside of your family or something that you do in your spare time. It's integrated to everything you are. So even just seeing the photo of Claire with her husband and her child, just seeing her story of where she wants to be heading. And she's even taken it all the way back to 2017 as well as forward to 2027. She's got the photos of the people that she has as basically her role models. And so what she can learn from them. You heard Jaspreet talk about biographies and following the footsteps of others. Whatever you want to own, someone today is already owning it, right? Whatever you want to learn, someone's already learned it. Whatever you want to be earning, someone's already earning it, right? So why go and recreate the wheel when you can actually be going with someone who has a similar path to what you like to have and see how much you can learn from them. Here you can see her personal compass. So creator, just like me, and then family, achievement, health, intellect, what is her passions. We have a value test, so you find out what your top values are. We should use this in a dating app. I mean, basically, you can find people with the same values as you. And then you can see here the exponential waves, automation, circular economy. When you really own it and you go, this is my life. This is not like it's going to go anywhere. Who cares if an asset goes up or down a little bit tomorrow, because this is about a much, much bigger picture, which is where I'm going to be heading with my life as well. And it's not a matter of whether, it's a matter of when. I love this. I like investment criteria. I'm investing, not betting. I'm growing, not trading. My portfolio aim is to build solid foundations for our family's wealth in the present and into the future. I invest in areas which build my family's wealth and contribute to the world. I diversify my portfolio to provide us with security, foundations, mitigating against the changing world, crypto, gold, and growth, early stage investment. What's super important about this is, none of this is written as if it hasn't happened, right? It's not like I will be investing, right? Or I may be doing this. It's like, no, I am. And the moment you actually just own it and you're in the present with it, it just shifts the balance into your favor. I love this. It actually is like working through the week, the percentages looking to get from each of the different areas. What's the cash ROI? What's the capital ROI? Like the moment you let your criteria do the decisions for you, emotions come out of it. You go, yep, when it hits that number, then that's what I do. Just like you heard Marcus talk about. And then what does that mean in terms of what current assets, what current liabilities will then evolve into in the future? And everyone's been using the tools to actually get to where they want to get to. And they go, right, here I go. Here's my plan. So this is Claire Reeds. Claire, would love for you also just to share your experience going through this.
I found the whole week really enlightening. I didn't really have any expectations going in, and it was great to just follow each step along the path and really kind of get a sense of, from each day, what were the key learnings that really stuck out for me personally, and take that forward into the plan. It was really cool.
That's fantastic. That's awesome, man. Let me ask you, just the process of it, how do you feel differently now? Because here's the challenge, right? I know a lot of people are going to watch this, and they're going to go, yeah, I'm going to get around to it. And then they're just not going to put the time into it. And then a week, 2 weeks later, life takes over again. But this is almost like when you go on a fitness plan or something, it's like, oh, I got to go to the gym. But once you get the result, it's like, oh, now I feel totally different, right? What's your feeling in terms of how you approach it or how you look at the market now by having this plan together and having the knowledge you have compared to where you were maybe a couple of weeks ago?
Patricia nailed it on the head. She said empowered, right? Like informed, empowered, and able to move forward rather than, because I think you mentioned it yourself, Roger, like the finance world is so kind of separate to us as the general public. So suddenly being able to go, oh, I don't need to do this through somebody else. I'm empowered to move this forward on my own with help. It's great.
Yeah. It's super, super important. And one thing I'll say to everybody is we are moving from a world of strength to a world of power, right? Look, what we're seeing in governments around the world right now is a show of strength. It's like force, right? As opposed to power, which comes from the inside. This is like, I know there's a lot of discussion around gender, right, in the world today. I prefer, instead of thinking about gender, to think about energy, because in the Chinese system, you have yin and yang, right? And yin is the base of empowerment and power. Yang is force and strength, right? Yang is hierarchy, yin is network, right? Yang is centralized, yin is decentralized. So we're going from a very yang world to a very yin world. It's actually quite interesting that over 60% of our entire community of 4 million students are actually women, right? And we're seeing at the moment women power take over, right, everywhere. And so everyone should be thinking of that. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. You should be thinking with yin power, right? Which is like, am I thinking about network? Am I thinking about the connections? Am I empowering others, or am I trying to take power away from them? Because those old systems are the ones that are breaking right now. So I just wanted to share that as well, because I think it's super interesting. Let me go to the third of our plans. This one is beautiful, the way it's been put together. You see, like when everyone makes it their own, it makes a huge difference. So this is Katie's plan. And you can see here, she actually kicks it off with a quote: 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference, right? This is Robert Frost's quote. And that's exactly what this whole future vision does, where you can now see, like, walking through the future, actually, this is actually super interesting, right? Like in terms of like even thinking about having almost like a shift of health as well as a shift of wealth. And then from here, this then leads into what I love as well, which is the giving part. Here, creating an endeavor called Apartments of Hope, right? So this is basically, as it says, this endeavor will allow me to help those with cancer or recovering from cancer who can't afford both rent and medical bills. I know all too well in dealing with my father passing away of pancreatic cancer, the stress only makes the healing process harder. And so, like, when you bring all of the power and energy of what drives you in life, and you make that the central thesis of your investment plan, right? Because all good things come to those who are doing good, right? And there's now a way in the world to be doing good and doing well together, right? There's a way to create purpose and profit together, which is why we call this the Impact Investor Summit, not just the Investor Summit. So here we got Katie. Here we have her top mentors and the people that she actually sees as role models. Here we have Katie with her one paragraph bio, managing partner of Rolling Fork Capital, Lee Rentals, accumulator who works on detailed and project management of projects, committed to financial independence, wealth community strategies, while also developing a nonprofit, Apartments of Hope, and creating financial freedom of a W-2 job within 2 years, right? So all of this gives you very much the same format, but now in her own words and in her own pictures. And the big waves here, right, as you can see here, are all around the entrepreneur movement using AI and blockchain. What's so great about this is when you actually start seeing all the other plans, you can see who you want to connect with. You do not get this kind of information on LinkedIn, right? Like this is where people are really putting their heart on the sleeve about what they really care about, what's their purpose, what's their passions, what they are doing in terms of their investments as well. So this here is the investment criteria, and then we have the portfolio, right? So super, super cool. I would love, Katie, for you also just to share your experience.
Yeah, I mean, it just as they said, just empowering and just so exciting. And I worked just like they did on a huge, probably a lot of time went into this. And the fact is that once I did it, it was like, wow, this is really it. This is what I'm doing for the next 5 years. And it was really wonderful to feel like that was, it just was very empowering, very much empowering.
That's fantastic. And, can I ask what time is it there right now?
It is 6 o'clock a.m.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for getting up early.
No problem. I wouldn't have missed it.
Brilliant. So, well, first of all, can everyone just give some love to everyone in the chat and just say big congratulations and just basically just share your appreciation for these awesome finalists that we have here. What I'm going to do right now, before bringing Jason back on, is I'm going to obviously be sharing who is the person taking the top prize. And like I said, it isn't like the other two have not already won, right? Like basically all three, at the very least, like the two runners-up, will be getting the second prize already, which is close to $10,000 worth of value, and basically so much more in terms of what you're going to get over the coming year. But there can only be one, right? One person who's going to get up here at the first prize level. So we're going to try this again. We're going to give everyone a chance to do a bit of a drum roll in the room here as well. Can we do a bit of a drum roll? And the winner of our entire challenge for 2022, that person is going to be, wait, I've lost it. Okay, there's even more. No, I'm doing this deliberately. I know. Right, the winner is going to be Claire Reed. Congratulations. Any words, Claire?
Yeah, sorry, I was in shock that I couldn't unmute myself. No way, thank you. Wow.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And like for all of you, I'm actually going to be in London for our Global Entrepreneur Summit at the beginning of December. Would love to have you there so we can meet in person. I can congratulate you in person, give you a big hug, and say congratulations as well. And Katie, look forward to seeing you also in the US. But congrats, and obviously we're going to see you on our programs going forward as well. You're getting a lot of love in the chat. So thank you to all three of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Got a lot of clapping in the room here. Fabulous. Thank you so much. And team, if we could please go back to Jason. We're going to bring Jason back on. And Jason, how was that?
That was fantastic. And it's so cool to see, because these are the people that were also during the challenge were also there. And it's to see how you've come from, going through all the learnings and challenge, then taking the time to actually apply what you've learned. And I love getting commitments, especially in front of everyone else. And so for those who are also listening to this and inspired, like who feels that it would be beneficial for them to take some of the learnings from the summit and go and make your own plan, type in the chat, plan is mine, because I think you will be able to get the benefits just like they did of actually having that vision, being empowered. And I think that's one of the most powerful thing. And here we go. We have some people live. Maybe out in Singapore, you guys can shout it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll share, because I think this is like when you asked me earlier about how we do education. There's one thing when we talk about making it fun. Every single time we run anything, including here in the summit, it's all about interactivity. It's all about everyone getting connected. It's all about someone winning, and then from there, basically, everyone can learn from who actually came out the best and why. And then we all basically learn from that as well, right? So there's always, like, in everything we do, challenges, and I think everyone should be thinking in this way, because that basically then gives everyone such a good reason to show up. I want to just add one extra thing in here before I hand it back to you, Jason, for any final thoughts or questions that came off the Humanity 5.0 side, which is that we actually did have a winner as well for the most engaged. So this was Olivia Derrick. So, hey, so like the male population did get a win on something. So he's running our Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind program, and that basically is where, like, you know, he was obviously there sharing. I mean, so many people were sharing all the way through, but the team felt that he was the one that deserved this. So big congrats, Olivia. I also want to say that for those of you out there who go, you know what, I want to get this kickstarted. I want to get this going. And again, you already have this QR code. If you had not booked for the Founders Roundtable, this is a QR code there. But I also wanted to share one additional thing here. For when you were talking about, well, what about if you're more just starting off? We do have something super exciting that's coming up that I would love to invite all of you to, if you're really getting value from this. And it is the next step. We have got a basic 3 festival, which now kicks off. So we've gone through the Investor Festival. We're now about to start the Entrepreneur Festival. It goes from October through to December. The festival includes a challenge to actually put your business plan together. And again, there's $50,000 in prizes. It includes a summit like this one, but it's actually going to be in London, and then it's going to be virtual as well. Everyone on here, of course, should be thinking about their business as well as their investments, so we'd love you to be part of it. But probably one of the biggest things that's happening as part of this is there is an entirely new Entrepreneur Dynamics 5.0. If you've done the Wealth Dynamics profile, could you please post your profile in the chat? Like if you're a creator, if you're a supporter, an accumulator, so you can start spotting other people that have actually done this profile already. I know some of you may not have done this. I want to give you all an opportunity to do it. But if you, the eagle-eyed there will notice the pictures of the different people here are totally different from the one that you're used to. We have Elon Musk in here as a creator. We have Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, as the mechanic here, right? We have got here the CEO of YouTube as the deal maker. We have got here Kathy Woods as the trader, right? Here's 2 of the sharks in Shark Tank as star and accumulator. And here's the wealthiest woman and wealthiest man in China and in India as the Lord and supporters. And the reason is all of these people did not have any more wealth than you or me. In fact, in some cases, like Elon Musk and Vitalik, actually less than most people on this call 15 years ago, right? This has all happened during the last 10 years. And these are going to be the people that are going to see their wealth continue to explode because they're already focusing on the things that we're talking about, right? So the role models are shifting. The ones that were making it in 4.0 have now become quite different in 5.0. We are going to be launching a number of different things, including our company certifications and our Metaversity on a workshop that's coming up. That workshop that we're going to be having, there are people buying into that workshop because you're here at the summit. We're going to give you a free ticket to come if you'd like to come and join us. And this is where we actually are going to be launching the whole new system together with giving you tickets to come to our summit. And this is all in different languages with different partners, right? You're about to hear from Simon Zucci. He's now created Wealth Dynamics for property investors, right? So this means that you can actually now use it specifically for investing. Mark is doing the same thing for Wealth Dynamics for investors as well, right? So you can actually be using those different tools. And then, of course, we then have the actual festival and the summit itself. Here's a picture of Peter, who's going to be there at the summit. Vern Harnish, who set up Young Entrepreneur Organization, YEO, which is now Entrepreneur Organization. He's also one of our speakers. And we have many more who are going to be joining us as well. So this is a virtual event, so you can be anywhere in the world. 8th of November, so it's coming up pretty soon. 9 o'clock in UK time, 5 o'clock Singapore time. Just take a snap of this QR code and claim your ticket, right? We'd love to see you there. It's going to be very exciting. I'm going to be hosting it, and I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how you use all of the tools we've been talking about in your business as well as obviously in your portfolio, right? Plus the entire launch of our brand new Wealth Dynamics and Talent Dynamics 5.0 series as well. So hope you come join that. And this is what I would say, if you're just getting started, is the right thing for you. And frankly, even if you're a big company and you're already joining the Founders Roundtable, like bring your team, like, you know, get them to just get a taste of what we're going through here, so they can also be really focusing at how they build their business too. So with that, Jason, anything else you wanted to add to that, or was that pretty clear?
No, that's pretty clear. And I see the team is actually posting the link in the chat as well. For those who aren't comfortable with the scanning methodology of QR codes, we can just click on the link and you'll be able to see the instructions and take action there as well.
Yeah, I heard quite a few people are actually watching this on their mobile phone. So, yeah, juggling.
It's as confusing as me coming up with break times with virtual and live events simultaneously. No, Roger, honestly, I think with, you know, we talked about a lot of stuff, you know, on day one and day two, and a lot of it, you know, was kind of like, you know, a cold shower. It was like a wake-up call to things that are changing. And I think when you start talking about this trend about Humanity 5.0, there's a sense of hope and of wonder and excitement about the future, understanding that, yeah, okay, we need to face reality. Things are going to be shaky, but there is a beautiful space on the other side, and we all get to play a part, and it's a powerful way we get to play a part. And so that's super exciting to see these trends, and an amazing way to segue towards our last session for today as well. So thank you so much, and congratulations to all the winners. That was incredible to see all of their portfolios being put together. And Roger, I think you saw in the chat, a lot of people are going to be doing it as well. So we've moved a lot of people into putting a plan together.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll be coming back at the very end after Simon for some final words. But I know everyone's going to find this next session very fascinating based on where the world is right now. So thanks a lot, Jason.
Absolutely. So with that, everyone, that was Roger Hamilton. Again, amazing insights. He'll be back at the end to answer a few more questions and give us some next steps. For now, I'm so excited to bring Simon Suchi, who's going to be talking to us about not only how amazing real estate is going to be as an opportunity, but we're also going to talk about impact in general. And so as such, Simon Property Investor Network has been working with the Genius team as well, was part of our challenge. So we had a chance to get a taste of some insights there, but we're going into so much deeper because the property market is a very exciting space, especially as we talked about cash flow. We talked about changes, big ones that happened in the UK even yesterday. And so with that, I'm super excited, Simon, that you are here. Everybody, let's give him a big welcome. And Simon, welcome to the summit. It's good to have you here.
Hello, Jason. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And it's lovely to be kind of one of the final speakers. So thank you so much for that. And you know, I'm really talking all about real estate and why you really should have real estate, or property as we call it, as part of your investment portfolio. And I believe you should be diversified, you should have a number of things. And you know what? It's a very exciting place to be right now because there is so much change happening right now, probably more so in this last month than in the last X number of years. So I'll share my slides with you to go through this. Now, I want to encourage you, if you're already in real estate or you have some property, just type property into the chat box, please. But if you're not in property yet, just type in "not yet" into the chat box. And I think property is one of those things, people have all these beliefs and assumptions about what they can and what they can't do. And I really want to kind of break down some of those beliefs and barriers that might be stopping you from participating in what I believe is one of the best investments you should make. Now, by the way, I invest in the stock market. I've got money in crypto. I've got money in business. I do all of it. I'm slightly biased more towards property and real estate, and you're going to see why, having done this training. So, my goal for you for this session, my goal is really to get you to change the way you think about your real estate investing. That's what I want to do from this training. And look, you don't have to love real estate, you don't have to love property. It's all about generating cash flow. We know how important, from this summit and the challenge, we know how important cash flow is. And my point is, if you have cash flow coming in from whatever the source is, if you have a cash flow coming in enough to more than cover your outgoings, then that's when life gets really exciting because you can spend your time doing whatever you love to do. And I'm going to touch on impact investing as well, because not only can we provide accommodation for other people, which is helping society, but we can do it in a way that's very impactful. And if you've got impact, you've got purpose, you can then attract other people who might want to fund your property investing. And I'll touch on that as well. Now, look, very, very quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to make sure there's time for questions. I've been investing for over 27 years. I bought my first property back in 1995 when I started work as a graduate trainee, having been to university on the graduate program at Cadbury's in Birmingham. If you're in the UK, you'll know Cadbury's. And in fact, they're worldwide. They're a chocolate manufacturer. What a dream job to have. And I plan to work my way up through the business. And as soon as I got my job offer, I bought my very first home. I come from Kent in the southeast of England, but I've been at Birmingham University for a number of years, decided to settle and bought my first house. And I rented out 2 of the rooms in that house to my friends who are still studying university. By the way, if you're starting new and you're kind of a early 20s or mid 20s, that's a great way to start because it helps cover the costs of that accommodation. So I was saving lots of my salary. I also had a part-time business I was running as well as doing my full-time job, which was running student nightclub events. Great fun business to run at the time. Had this extra money in my bank account and I decided to buy a second property. So I moved out of this first one. I rented it from 1998 to students. And I realized just how powerful property was. So I bought a few more, and by 2001, I was able to leave my full-time job. Now, my job was something I'd aspired to do. I'd got a great degree, and that's what I believed I should do. But hopefully you've realized over this 2 days, and if you've done the challenge as well, maybe what you thought about earning money isn't the only way. You don't have to just have a job to be financially independent. So I realized that actually I enjoyed my time and freedom a bit more. So I left my full-time job, and by 2003, I'd completely replaced my former salary. Now at that point, I'd been investing 8 years, and I'd done quite well, but I'd also made lots of mistakes. And anyone who's honest, who's investing, will say, look, you can make lots of expensive mistakes. And I realized, wouldn't it be smart to have some like-minded people around me who we could all learn from each other? And I went online in 2003, and there was no sort of networking or group for investors. So I started the very first networking in the UK for property investors, and I called it the Property Investors Network. Now there are 50 plus meetings around the UK, and now with the help of Genius U and Roger Hamilton, we are expanding PIN around the world. So we're expanding in the States, first of all. We're going to be doing Asia. We're going to do Australia, South Africa, everywhere, basically. So by the end of 2024, we should be everywhere around the world, which is going to be awesome. And back in 2003, I realized actually what I love to do was teach people how to invest. I love to teach and share with other people. Now, I want to make this distinction. People think I love property, and I love what property has done for me. I love the fact I'm providing quality accommodation for people who can't afford to buy their own home. But actually what I love to do is teach. And through the income from my property, I've been able to teach, and I've now been doing that for almost 20 years. I set up something called the Property Mastermind Program. It's a year-long program that, again, we do here in the UK. We're going to be expanding this around the world to really help people achieve incredible results very quickly. I wrote a book called Property Magic. You might want to go and check it out. It's an Amazon bestseller. You can get an audio version as well, which is all about kind of how to find great deals. And I'm still actively investing. And I'm talking about this deal here. This was the one that's up in the northeast of England. And this is a very important point. Listen very, very carefully. This is a deal that I didn't find. Someone else who I know found this great deal. They came to me and said, Simon, would you like to work with me on this deal? Would you like to fund this deal? You see, they're tied up all of their money. And so I looked at it and said, yeah, did the numbers, thought it's a great deal. So you don't have to find the deals. That's important point number one. Now, all of my money was tied up in other investments. So I reached out to my network and found some other people who wanted to come in and get a great return on their money and fund this deal. So I didn't find a deal. I didn't use my money. I just tapped to my network. So your network is your net worth. Getting on events like this, coming to physical events, meeting. Guys, if you can, you should come to London. You should come and meet Roger and the team and everyone else for that event. It's going to be at the beginning of December. What a great opportunity to connect and build your network. You should absolutely be doing that because this is through my network. This was a large care home. We converted it into 45 apartments. I don't sell any property to any of my students. We sold it through estate agents and it made about £1 million. Half of it was mine, half of it was my JV partner, and I had to pay some investors, put money in, about 100 grand. So I made about £400,000 on a property I didn't fund, and guess what? I've never even been to this property. Now I've checked it out online. I've had people I know, trust, go and check it out for me. But you can absolutely invest remotely. So I know we've got people from all around the world on this training. You might want to invest where you live. You might want to invest somewhere else. You can absolutely do it if you have the right team around you. And then finally, I just want to mention, I set up a business called Crowd Property back in 2013. And that that idea to do that came from a 2-day event I was at with Roger. It was one of his events I went to in 2013, and there was someone talking about peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding, and I thought, wow, I wonder if that can be used in property. And I put 2 and 2 together and came up with 15 million, basically. And what I did was realize there were people who've got great property developments, but they don't have money. People who've got money, they want to get a better return. We put them together, we create a digital platform. It's all regulated, it takes care of all the compliance and the legal side. And at the time, I was mentoring with Roger. So I was on his Crystal Circle program and getting huge value from that. And I shared this idea with Roger. Roger said, that's an amazing. So it's a Simon, that is £100 million idea and business. And I said, wow, well, Roger, it would be amazing if it turned. I don't quite believe it's going to be that. It's amazing. And the thing I love about Roger, he makes me think really big. And I'm sure you've been on this. Hopefully you're thinking much bigger than you were before you did this summit. And I'm pleased to say that this business is growing towards £100 million business. We have funded. It's actually over £600 million of development. It's actually £330 million of offers we've made, £260 million of actual loans we've made, and 2,690 homes we've helped create in the UK. And not only that, through network we've expanded. This is now in Australia as well. And this is a multi-million pound business. By the way, I've got a team running this for you. I'm not involved in it. I'm trying to just show you that you don't have to be the person doing everything. Understanding your wealth dynamics, getting other people around you to help you, get them doing a lot of the work. They're well rewarded for it, obviously, but you don't have to do everything yourself. Please recognize that. And we teach all of our students about the wealth dynamics because it's so powerful to see how you can work with other people. So if you're in the UK or in Australia and you want to fund some of your projects, go and check out Crowd Property. But this just came from an idea and it came from this environment, which is why I've shared it. So that's a little bit about me. And I think it's important. Anytime you listen to someone, you need to make sure, do they really know what they're talking about? Have they got some back record and experience, etc.? Because anyone can put up a video on YouTube or do a podcast. You got to check people out. And Roger likes what we do so much. He actually bought my training business back earlier in the year as part of the big IPO, and we're now together growing this around the world. So really exciting times. So I'm going to tell you this, why you should be investing in real estate, how real estate is actually the most stable, safe, and secure investment you can make. I think you should do the others as well, but there's nothing as solid and safe as real estate. I'm going to share with you the 5 golden rules to minimize your risks. I'm going to explain why it's the best investment you can make, and also help you understand the 3 biggest mistakes most investors make and how to avoid them. So first of all, let me just tell you why, thinking about property compared to other investors, why is property so powerful? Well, first of all, you can gain cash flow from your investment to replace your salary. And we have some people on my mastermind. It took me 8 years to fully replace my salary. Some of my students, because they've learned how to do it and followed our process, I've done it in as little as 8 months. Thing I love about property is you got to put some time and effort in. Don't be confused. It does require some effort. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. But the effort you put in you can be rewarded forever. So you find a great property, get it set up, get it rented out. Someone else can manage it for you, but you make profit every single month. So it can be a true passive income. I don't manage my properties. I have other people doing it for me. So I spend about 1 hour a week on a Zoom call with the people who manage my properties. That's it. I do that from anywhere around the world. There is an ever increasing demand for accommodation. Now, here's a big tip. You want to buy property in areas where the population is increasing. Don't buy in areas where the population is decreasing. That's not good. You want to buy in areas where you've got an increasing population, an increasing demand for accommodation, as it certainly here is in the UK and many parts of the world. You can benefit from long-term capital growth that's going to add to your pension pot and add to your legacy, the true generational wealth you can pass on to your kids. Property does not drop in value to zero, unlike shares and unlike some cryptocurrencies might do. So look, I invest in the stock market, I invest in crypto. I think you should do that as well, but understand the various risk profiles. Property is not going to drop to zero, okay? The only way property would drop to zero is if there was a nuclear holocaust and, you just couldn't live in an area for a certain period of time, then it would drop to zero. But if that ever happens, believe me, property is the last of your problems, okay? So don't worry about that. It's never going to happen in property. Even if a property burnt down, you should have insurance to cover that anyway, but if it did, there's still going to be some land value, okay? Now, the great thing I love about property is you can leverage other people's money to invest. If you went to your bank and said, yeah, I'd like to borrow some money to buy some cryptocurrency, they'll tell you to get out. Whereas you say, I'd like to buy some property, some real estate, they say, yeah, sit down, let's have a talk about it, and they're prepared to lend. Why do you think banks will lend to people who are investing in property? Because they know it's the safest investment you can make. You can also purchase at wholesale prices. Now, most people, they think they have to buy at the market value, and you can do that. But if you buy at a discounted, a below market value, BMV, below market value, wholesale price, it means you're making profit the day you buy. Mark talked about this, buying assets at wholesale. You can absolutely do that with property. Now, here's another thing. When you buy a property, you can do something to that investment to enhance the value. If you buy some shares of crypto, you can do nothing to add to the value unless you're Elon Musk and you buy billions of pounds worth of cryptocurrency, then that will affect the value. But otherwise, you and me, we can't do anything to affect share or crypto investment. But we can add value to the property that we have purchased. Now, most people don't know how to do property properly. Any idiot can go and buy a property, and many idiots do go and buy a property. And they might bumble through and be okay. Sometimes they lose money. So you want to educate yourself. And you know what? If you want to help your kids or nephews and nieces, and you really want to help them have a better future, don't just give them money. You want to teach them how they can do this themselves. And the best way for them to learn is by seeing you be the inspiration, because they're going to learn from you and they're going to learn from your example. So if you want to help your kids and have a real impact on their life and your future generations, in that case, you need to be doing it yourself. And if you want to do it, just type impact into the chat box. If you want to have an impact on your kids, not just giving them money, but by showing them really how to have a better life, you want to be the leader, the inspiration. You want to do it by doing it yourself, first of all. And lots of people saying impact. Thank you so much for your participation. Now, there are 3 huge mistakes that most people make when trying to invest in real estate, in property. And I'm going to share those mistakes with you so that you can avoid those mistakes. Mistake number 1, I've already touched on this, is allowing your beliefs to hold you back. You know what? Your beliefs are what you hold to be true. And it's based on your knowledge and also based on your personal experiences. Unfortunately, some of the things that you believe to be true are just not correct. They are incorrect. And those could be stopping you from moving forward with your investing. So I encourage you during this presentation, have a real open mind and maybe question some of your past beliefs about what you can and can't do with real estate. So I'm going to go through just some of the top limiting beliefs I hear people say all the time. The biggest one, number 1, think, well, yeah, property's great, but I have to do that later on because I just don't have enough money to invest in real estate. Now, something you need to understand is everybody runs out of their own money at some point. If you're investing, putting into investments, most are going to run out. And so you need to start using other people's money. And you can do that. If you have a good property deal, you can do that. You might recognize this picture. I'm showing this because this is Vision Villas. This is Roger's first, one of his big homes, his first home in Bali, turned it into an amazing resort. He didn't buy it using his money. He bought it using other people's money. And this is Tau. This is the Game Lodge in South Africa. Same thing, using other people's money. Now, there's a big, well, you don't have to buy a big property like this, but if you have a deal and it's a good deal, there'll be enough profit in it so you can use other people's money. I'm just trying to stretch your thinking here, okay? Limiting belief number 2. People think you need to have a lot of experience to invest in real estate. Well, actually, with a correct mentor, you can learn what you need to know to get started in just one weekend. Can you learn everything? No, look, I've been investing 27 years. I don't know everything. I'm still learning all the time. But you'll certainly learn enough to get started in just one weekend and avoid the expensive mistakes and go and get your first property. Next thing to believe, I don't have enough time to invest in real estate. Well, the thing I love about property, and I touched on this earlier, you can work once and get paid forever. So the time and effort you do put in is going to be rewarded for the rest of your life. And this is the distinction I had back in 1998. When I moved out of my first home, I moved into my second property and I turned my first property into a property I was renting to students at Birmingham University. And I realized that, having a house is not like having your own cash machine, right? Now, I just want to take you back to that time, compare my job in 1998 to my first proper rental property. And I was working at Cadbury's. I was a graduate trainee at that time, so I hadn't quite finished the program.